My husband was an activist from El Salvador. One time he left on a trip in about November, and I didn't hear a word from him until February. Finally, he called and asked me to meet him in Mexico City the next day. We had about one day and one night together. I knew that going back to El Salvador would be really dangerous. I also knew that if he couldn't do the one thing that was the most important to him, that it would be like he wasn't really living. A few weeks after I got home, I found out that I was pregnant. A few weeks after that, I found out that Wilfredo had been killed. I was just so glad that he was leaving part of himself with me. I named him Daniel, a pseudonym that his father used. Having Danny in my life was like having a light. I was grieving, and then I had this beautiful baby. I thought about, even though Wilfredo isn't here, how can I raise Danny in a way that would make him proud? But on the other hand, I didn't want Danny to feel like he had to replace his father in any way. And so I wrote him a letter, and I promised him that I was going to let him be who he was and allow him to walk his own path. That promise turned out to be really important. A few weeks before Danny's 4th birthday, he told me that he wanted to be a princess for Halloween. This wasn't really a big surprise to me. From the time he was 1.5 years old, he had this Barbie that he took with him everywhere he went, and he loved purple and pink. I usually let him do his thing at home, but in public, I was worried about judgment and teasing. I didn't know if I was doing something wrong as Danny's mom. And I also kind of wondered what Wilfredo would have said or done. I say to Danny, "How about Peter Pan instead?" But Danny was really clear on what he wanted. I had to make a choice. Would I try to pressure him to be like other boys? We found this big purple lacy dress, and it had jewels on it, and I cut it down to size for Danny. And I also found a pink shimmery gown because I decided I could be a princess too. I had a dream that Wilfredo came back to meet Danny. I thought, oh no, what if he sees Danny in his princess dress? And what if he doesn't accept him for who he is? But I also believed in something pretty fundamental. Parents don't get to decide who their children are. What we get to do is to support them. I do believe that Wilfredo would have seen that honoring Danny for who he is was important to him. Danny is really full of love and heart, something that he got from his dad. I would tell him, Danny has not followed exactly in your footsteps, but I can't imagine that you wouldn't be incredibly proud of our son. He's one of the bravest people I've ever met, just like you.
My mother, Mina, I don't know a lot about her. I remember that she was profoundly sad. It was sad being around sadness.